Good morning, this is day 3 and today we're heading on another road trip which is inland to the Atherton Tablelands. Now on the drive there's 263 corners. And it's a sign. And this here is quite a cute little stop called Heels Lookout. It's a bit foggy though. I've just noticed on that sign behind me that it's the 100-year anniversary of this highway, which used to be called the Cairns Range Road. Can you imagine the journey this must have been back in 1926? 2.5 hours on rough track. Oh, and look, the fog has come in even more now since I've been standing here. The Gillies Highway is celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2026. Officially opened on 10th of July 1926, it transformed travel between Cairns and the Atherton Tablelands. The highway climbs nearly 800 metres through 263 bends in just 19 kilometres. In its early years, the road was so narrow the traffic travelled in only one direction at scheduled times, quite different from what the motorists enjoy today up the scenic mountain drive. Wow, this is definitely tropical rainforest area. You can tell the difference in vegetation from lower down Queensland. Oh look, cool fungi. I love this. It's so quiet and green. It is a bit colder though. Oh my gosh, look at that. How impressive is that? Jeez, that is impressive. This spectacular tree behind me is called a green fig. The elaborate strangling habit of this tree is common in green figs and many other tropical rainforest figs. The spectacular tree was named for the stately cathedral-like formation of the roots. Oh yeah. This strangler fig started life in the forest canopy when a seed dropped onto a branch by a bird or a bat. The seed germinates and the young fig then spent its early life on the host tree branch, obtaining food from decaying leaf litter and water from the rain. As the seedling grows, its need for nutrients increases and it sends out long cable-like roots. Some descend to the ground while others encircle its host. Eventually the host tree dies, leaving a thriving fig tree in its place. Right. Nobody knows the age of this tree. They say though it's at least 500 years old. That is definitely worth a slight 6-kilometre detour off the road if you're ever up this way. That is incredible. It says here the crown of the tree extends over 2,000 square metres, an area equivalent to 2 Olympic swimming pools. Scientists estimate that the full load of leaves carried by this tree weighs 1,000 kilos, about the weight of a small car. Wow. Have a look at this one. It's all twisted like a Christmas candy cane. And look at this one. It looks like a snake actually, winding its way up there. I have to say, I'm impressed. That's quite cool. And just a little bit further up the road is Lake Barine. Now Lake Barine is an ancient volcano. Not a volcano, it's a volcanic crater formed apparently 17,000 years ago. Lake Barine has no rivers flowing in or out. It is fed entirely by rainfall, natural rainfall, and underground springs, which keeps it looking beautiful and clear. Since the early 1920s, the lake has been closely associated with the Curry family, who established a tea house and boat cruises, welcoming visitors to experience the area's natural beauty. During the Second World War, Lake Barine became a place of rest and recovery for Australian servicemen. The tea house and surrounding grounds were occupied by the 21st Australian Convalescent Depot. Away from the heat and humidity of the coast, the cooler climate and peaceful rainforest surroundings, where soldiers recovering from illness, injury and tropical diseases were sent after treatment in military hospitals. Away from the heat and humidity of the coast, the cooler climate and peaceful rainforest surroundings provided an ideal environment for recuperation. Over the years, many soldiers have returned with a fondness in their hearts for Lake Barine, where they found a place of peace and healing in a time of war. Welcome to Lake Barine. There's a bit of information here that talks about how Crater Lakes National Park features Lake Barine and Lake Eacham. They are explosion craters known as Mars, not the Mars bars or the planet Mars, but M-A-A-R-S, created when rising lava came into contact with groundwater. The resulting stream caused a violent explosion as it burst through the rocks on the surface, producing a crater. After the explosions, water collected in the craters, forming today's lakes, which are up to 65 metres deep. These towering bulkaris are over 50 metres tall and more than 6 metres in girth. They are the largest of Australia's 38 conifer pine species and thought to be 1,000 years old. B. cassowary. I guess there must be cassowaries in this area. Oh wow, there it is. The curtain fig tree. Called a curtain tree for obvious reasons. It looks like a curtain. Creation of the curtain fig. Yungaburra, apparently one of the oldest towns on the Tablelands. Its preserved timber buildings reflect the farming and timber industries that helped shape the region. Originally known as Yamba Pocket, it was named or renamed Yungaburra in 1910 when the railway arrived. It's particularly well known to spot the wild platypus in the nearby Peterson's Creek. I wonder what this wall is behind me. Looks quite old. I'm not sure there's a plaque anywhere. Nope, no plaque. Quite cool though. I discovered this large collection of metal and it's intrigued me. So I've come to see what this is all about, although the signs look pretty stuffed actually. There's a few signs around the outside of this, but they all look quite faded, although I can see more of this one. That sign over there talked about it being burnt down in whatever year it was. I just did a quick research, and this old site behind me is the old Yungaburra sawmill site. It was established in 1911 and was one of the Tablelands' biggest employers and the biggest sawmill around at the time. During the Second World War, it produced timber veneers used for military barges, buildings, aircraft propellers and other defence projects. It was destroyed by fire in 1987. So what you see behind me is what survived that fire, including a rear Stirling boiler and a timber veneer lathe. These structures now are heritage listed, which is probably why the signs are here. You can't read anymore. I wonder what the boiler room part is. Oh, this might be the Boilermaker part. Or maybe that is. I'm not quite sure why a bunch of old metal intrigues me. I guess it tells a story though, right? History. On our drive today, we've come across Malanda Falls. It is one of Atherton's most accessible and family-friendly waterfalls. Unlike the region's other waterfalls, this waterfall behind me, or behind those trees, is broad, about 4 metres wide. Apparently it is a popular swimming spot in this area. Although there's no one in there today. Actually, no, there's no one in there today. Which brings me to my next little challenge. I intend to get in that water today and see how cold it is. I've just read that those falls behind me are also heritage listed. Don't know how cold it's going to be. Oh yeah, it's quite clear. Apparently these falls was once the local swimming pool. So I'm going to just duck up here and quickly get changed, and I'm going to see how freezing cold that water is. Especially cold, but not absolutely freezing. That actually wasn't so bad. I think I'm going to give it another go now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon in the next one.